Hey everyone, and welcome to Right Now, episode 30 with Dalton Mathis, and this is a YouTube-only question. Dalton, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Question for you as we begin the podcast today. If you could do anything by the age of 30, being that we're on episode 30 now, what would you want to do?
That's tough. Hopefully, set myself up to be a multi-billionaire.
Billionaire or millionaire?
A billionaire.
Billionaire. You've heard it first. I hope that comes to actually happen there, Dalton.
I hope so.
Remember me as well when that happens, Dalton. So heard it first. Multi-billionaire Dalton Mathis. Check out Right Now, episode 30. Hey everyone, and again, welcome to Right Now, episode 30, a student ministry podcast here at Ridgecrest Baptist Church. Today, I am joined with Dalton Mathis. Dalton, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Now, Dalton, you just graduated from Houston Academy.
Yes.
Congratulations on that. You shared with us earlier you're going to head to Wallace, and we're just excited for the future for you and thankful for what God has done in your life here in our student ministry and our friendship, and just proud of you in a lot of different ways. And we do this podcast, and we call it Right Now, because our goal is to push each other to think about living our life in the moment, right now, making the most and being wise, as Ephesians 5 says, versus people that are living as not wise or unwise. And so as we think about that today, let's jump into the podcast with some questions. The first one is kind of get us going. And I say it's a surprise, but it's really no surprise anymore. But as we begin, Dalton, if you could spend time with anyone right now, who would it be and why?
Say Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. All right. What would be the first question you would ask Donald Trump?
2024?
I love it. All right, 2024. So let's move on from the Donald Trump conversation. I love it, though. But as we jump into the more serious questions today, Dalton, first one is this, and I love this question. It really kind of helps us see kind of where you are specifically and what God's doing. But what is God teaching you right now, Dalton?
Well, I just graduated, and it's kind of not the end of an era, but the start of a new one.
Yeah.
And I just think, like you said, to live in the moment, don't take anything too fast, too slow, because I feel like teenagers in present day, with all the social media, phones, we're always busy. We always have something to do, where life is a little bit too fast forward sometimes.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we take it just slow, live in the moment, that everything will fall into place.
Yeah, that's really cool. Would you say that your high school years went by in your mind faster than any other years of your life?
Oh, yes. I remember I think I was in 5th grade talking to my teacher. I was like, what class am I? Like, just wondering.
Yeah.
She said, class of 2021. And this is what, like 2014, 2013, something like that?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so far away. And then I come in 9th grade, and then next thing I know, I'm graduating.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'd agree with you. As I look back, those are the fastest years in a lot of ways of my life. And as you think about what you just talked about, living in the moment, what is something that has helped you slow down a little bit and maybe not allow such a fast-paced world really lead you into that same kind of thought?
I'm going to quick shout out to John and Jonathan, because they're two of my best friends, especially my brothers.
Yeah.
I'm an only child, so we have a conversation at least once a week. Just see how you're doing, not just, hey, how you doing? Good, like normal, but just deep conversation about what are you doing with your life, being accountable.
Yeah, so that accountability of really stopping when having those friends to really hold you in check with where you are and help you to really realize the magnitude of the moment and not run past it. That's really cool, Dalton. That's cool to hear, and hear how God's brought y'all together for that. And even as you're graduating and going in separate ways, the neat thing, and because of technology, that those things don't have to stop, and it's something you can continue to experience.
And, it was kind of crazy. I was coming in here 8th grade, didn't know anybody.
Right.
And I'm like, what am my parents want me to visit here for? I don't know anyone. It's a super big church. I'm in 8th grade. Like 5 foot, not 80-pound self. Like, what am I doing here? And then you introduced me to Walker. going to Sunday school, we clicked right away.
Yeah.
And then the next week was like Wednesday night, and they're like, "Hey, you should come." I'm like, "Okay, why not? Make some new friends." And then we'd turn into family almost. So.
Yeah, that's what's neat, Dalton, about your graduating class and group of guys is just the dynamic of, like you said, brothers. And now there's some picking and loving love that happens there. Always. And that probably starts from y'all's your leadership that you're around.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's Auburn Shepherd.
Yeah, shout out there, Big Papa. But it's a community, and that really is the heart of the church. And I love how your class has shown that of an example in a lot of ways to our students and our entire student ministry. So I love that answer, Dalton. So cool to hear just God teaching you that, and something, again, not to just grasp now, but to keep living out. Even though you're going to separate ways, you can continue to experience that. So second question, Dalton, you're a baseball guy. You're 1 for 1. All right, so let's go 2 for 2 now on the questions. But how can God use your generation right now?
Well, as like I said earlier, we have I think our generation has the largest outreach possible of like any other generation before, through social media, phones, etc. But we can reach each other in our community.
Yeah.
Where simple text or phone call, "How are you doing? We should meet up for lunch," or just have deep conversations with people and not just be like, "Hey, how are you doing? Good." Just be with the people around you that mean the most to you.
Yeah, so being in the moment where you are and not letting the outside distractions keep you from experiencing that. Now, Dalton, you mentioned being a new kid coming into a larger church, a larger student ministry. And as you think about some of the things that you just said, your generation was used by God to welcome you in and love you and encourage you in a lot of different ways. And what was it in some ways that made you feel at home what was it that someone did that made you feel at home here in our student ministry?
I think it was D-Now, my 9th grade year. We were at John's house, and it was my first time going over there. I mean, I already knew John, Jonathan Walker, Dave, and all of them, but it was the fact they made me feel involved. It wasn't just, it's a church thing, you should come, but it was more of like, we want you to come, we need you here.
Right. So I think that ties into, again, as well as God using your generation to really help people feel involved. And people want those relationships, and we want to feel known, and we want to feel loved. And I think that is a huge challenge for us all, not just your generation, but to really see the people around us and help them feel involved and known and ultimately loved by the Lord, but then also known and loved by others as well. So Dalton, 2 for 2. All right, you're heading to the Hall of Fame on the podcast today. Last question. What's a major current event of great interest to you outside of Trump 2024?
I would say that going into college, that may be difficult, where you may be getting out of church, or your views may change, or morals, where I feel like if the student ministry goes out when they graduate and they feel like they can form their own church, or just stay in God's word, where you don't have to be the big man on campus. You can just do your own thing.
Yeah. So the pull of, as a graduate, ultimately, am I going to live the life that the Lord has set before me and that I've grown and my parents have raised me in, or the church has pushed me towards, and I've made these decisions myself to look and seek after the Lord, and the pull to either follow after that, or the pull as now someone that's really stepping into, in a lot of ways, the real world of seeking the way of the world. And that's a pull that we all face, but your timing of life right now, you're facing it a lot more.
And you're on your own. Nobody can tell you otherwise.
Yeah. So that brings it back to the personal decision. And I think I told your class this, but you as a graduate now have the opportunity to make a decision. Am I going to keep following after Jesus, doing the things that my parents have invested and pushed me towards. Possibly my leaders have done that, or my pastors, or whoever, or not. And your generation, really, in the moment of graduation, you have that opportunity. But it's also an opportunity that really a lot of folks need to begin processing early on in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you make that decision then, it's going to be a whole lot easier as an 18-year-old to stay faithful to that.
And when I was coming into 8th grade, I was coming from it was a good youth group, but it wasn't relationship, ministry based. And I wasn't in a good place with my relationship with God or just me being myself.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
when I think it was your first year when I came,
Yeah.
ninth grade.
Yeah, it was.
It was you're really, really good as a leader. So,
well, it's been neat to watch you over the last 4 years grow, Dalton, and to sit down today and just even talk for a quick second and hear these things. And we are proud of you, even if Auburn gives you a hard time or the rest of the guys give you a hard time. We love you and are proud of you and excited for what the future holds as you continue, again, to seek after the Lord, stay faithful in that. And you have a home here and folks that are cheering you on and that love you greatly. And so as we think about the podcast today, just keep moving forward, living in that moment like you mentioned, and being faithful to what the Lord's leading you to do. And so thanks for being on the podcast today. 3 for 3, 100% going in the Hall of Fame. It's been fun. Dalton, again, proud of you. And we want to say as well, as we wrap up, thank you for watching or listening to the podcast today. Love for you to like, share, and subscribe, and just be reminded to live your life right now for the glory of God.